I went to the other parking lot. My car in this. My car is in this parking area. Whew. I hope this is 2025, similar as my car. Storage. And this is the basement parking. So, underground parking. So claustrophobic. Anyway, I'm going to get my car.
대기질이 좋은 날이네요. Today, international outcry grows after Israel
Everyone.
journalists
This is
while attacking
Georgina.
a hospital in Gaza. Trump said firing a Federal Reserve governor, sparking fears of government control of the central bank. And the business community worries too over
Claustrophobic in
separate
this
plans to get
parking area.
equity in more US companies following a government deal with Intel. It's Tuesday, August 26th. This is Reuters World News. Bringing you everything you need to know from the front lines in 10 minutes, 7 days a week. I'm Kim Vanel in Wanganui, New Zealand. Funerals are held for the 5 journalists and 15 others killed in Israeli strikes on a hospital in Gaza on Monday. Their bodies are wrapped in shrouds with only their heads visible. On top lay their blue and white press vests. One man, the brother of Moaz Abu Taha, a freelancer who contributed to Reuters and who is among the dead, pleads for someone to take a photo of him, saying in all the time he worked with his brother, they never had a picture together. Reuters contractor, cameraman Hussam Al-Masri, was also killed. Video shows emergency crews removing the bodies of journalists after a first strike and then captures the moment a second strike hit, killing more people, including those who'd come to help. President Trump learning of the news during an unrelated press conference in the Oval Office.
When did this happen? This happened overnight, today. I didn't know. Any reaction to this, or you want to talk to me about it? I don't want to see it. At the same time, we have to end that all right now.
The deaths have sparked outcry from the United Nations and some world leaders, as well as journalist bodies, including Reporters Without Borders, Touban Breton.
Suicide drone hits the third floor of the hospital, and this third floor was reputedly known for being a space where journalists work. So there is already a first indication that it might have been a targeted strike.
Spokesperson for the Israeli Defense Force, Efer Serfin, though, says the IDF regrets harm to any uninvolved individuals and says there will be an inquiry.
The IDF makes every effort to mitigate harm to civilians while ensuring the safety of our troops.
Reuters is urgently seeking more information and has asked authorities in Gaza and Israel to help get medical assistance for photographer Hatem Khaled, another Reuters contractor who was wounded. President Trump has fired Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook, citing alleged mortgage fraud. It's the first time in U.S. history a sitting Fed official has been dismissed like this. Cook responded in a statement saying of Trump that no causes exists under the law and he has no authority to remove her from her job. She's previously denied wrongdoing. Critics say her firing is part of Trump's broader push to reshape the Fed and tighten control over monetary policy. Howard Schneider is our Fed correspondent.
This was an allegation raised only less than a week ago now, that she had, in taking out mortgages in 2021, before she was the governor, but still, that she had claimed properties in both Georgia and Michigan as primary residences and promised to live in both. She has not offered a detailed explanation or any kind of rationalization of this. We don't know what the bank knew or didn't know, or what may be coming from her side. Under the Federal Reserve Act, she can't be removed just because the president doesn't like interest rate decisions. Right? But it does say you can be removed for cause. What does that mean? Well, I don't know. Tell me. It's never been tested. Nobody's ever tried this before.
Markets reacted swiftly to the news of Lisa Cook's removal. The dollar slid against the yen and euro in Asian trading. And U.S. treasuries dipped as investors questioned their confidence in U.S. assets. European shares also dropping, led by losses in France as political uncertainty there deepens, with the country's minority government looking increasingly likely to be ousted next month. Kelma Abrego Garcia, a migrant wrongly deported to El Salvador under Donald Trump's immigration crackdown, is now facing removal to Uganda, a country he has no ties to. Garcia was detained again in Baltimore just days after being released on bond. He's been in detention since being brought back to the U.S. in June. A federal judge has temporarily blocked the deportation, citing a lack of due process. The Trump administration is making a push for more government investments in more U.S. companies after taking an almost 10% stake in chipmaker Intel. He did that by converting $11 billion in government grants into an equity share. It's a dramatic shift in how Washington interacts with corporate America and is worrying some in the business community. Here's editor David Gaffin.
What critics are saying this kind of move could do is that it interrupts the way in which business has been running in the United States for a very, very long time. It brings in a much heavier hand from the government. It raises questions about what Intel's competitors will do, whether they are competing for business with Intel or are they competing with the government. It raises questions about what Intel's customers and potential customers are going to do. Are they going to give business to someone else who is making a chip that they deem best for their operations, or are they going to give that business to Intel, knowing that that will satisfy the White House?
Australia has accused Iran of carrying out 2 anti-Semitic arson attacks in Sydney and Melbourne, and has given Tehran's ambassador 7 days to leave the country. President Trump says he'd like to meet with North Korea's leader, Kim Jong-un, this year.
I have a great relationship with Kim Jong-un. I hope it stays that way. I think it will.
Trump was speaking after meeting with South Korea's president, Lee Jae-myung, in the Oval Office on Monday. Despite clinching a trade deal in July that spared South Korean exports harsher U.S. tariffs, the two sides continue to wrangle over nuclear energy, military spending, and Seoul's investments in the U.S. To coincide with the visit, Korean Air announced a record-breaking $50 billion deal for Boeing aircraft and GE Aerospace engines. The order includes 103 planes, mostly 737 MAX 10s, and marks the largest in the airline's history. And another major meeting is on the agenda for next week. Chinese President Xi Jinping will gather more than 20 world leaders at a security forum for a power show of global South solidarity. On the guest list, Russian President Vladimir Putin and Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. It's been revealed Tesla rejected a settlement in a lawsuit over a fatal crash of one of its autopilot cars, only to be forced to pay 3 times the amount when it lost the case this month. Elon Musk's EV company could have paid $60 million to settle the suit, but instead, a jury handed down a $243 million verdict, of which Tesla was liable to pay the lion's share. And in other Elon Musk news, the billionaire's artificial intelligence startup, xAI, is suing Apple and ChatGPT maker OpenAI in federal court, accusing them of conspiring to thwart competition for artificial intelligence. OpenAI has called the move consistent with Musk's ongoing pattern of harassment. President Trump says the U.S. military might deploy to Chicago and is ready to go anywhere to crack down on crime. The president is also rejecting calls that by sending the National Guard to Washington, D.C. and taking control of its police force, that he's acting like a dictator. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has chosen a vaccine skeptic to lead its COVID-19 immunization work group. Seth Levi has critiqued mRNA vaccines, saying they can cause serious harm and death. Levi did not immediately respond to a Reuters request for comment. And Grammy winner Lil Nas X was found walking in his underwear on a Los Angeles street before allegedly assaulting police officers who tried to detain him. He's pleaded not guilty to 4 felony charges and faces up to 5 years in prison. The judge set bail at $75,000 and ordered him into outpatient drug rehab. His lawyer says there's no evidence of drug use. And for today's recommended read, how McDonald's in India capitalizes on high protein deficiency to fuel a boom in protein-loaded burgers. It taps into a craze in a nation with the world's highest number of vegetarians and low meat consumption. For more on any of the stories from today, check out Reuters.com or the Reuters app. Don't forget to follow us on your favorite podcast player. If you're listening on a smart speaker, just ask for the latest news from Reuters 7 days a week. We'll be back tomorrow with our daily headline show.
This is a Fox News alert placed on leave. I'm Lee Silicera. Some employees of the Federal Emergency Management Agency who signed a public letter of dissent yesterday sent to the FEMA Review Council of Congress warning that cuts to staff and programs could impact the agency's ability to respond to a major disaster have been placed on leave. The AP confirms at least 2 of the 35 who signed their names were notified that they'd be on indefinite leave with pay, but they must still check in every morning, and their notice claims the decision is not a disciplinary action. 141 others signed the document anonymously. Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook says she will sue the Trump administration after the president moved to fire her yesterday over accusations of mortgage fraud.
Cook is accused of claiming in the span of 2 weeks to live in 2 different primary residences in 2 different states. Cook has not been charged with a crime and says no cause for her firing exists. As a Fed governor, Cook is a voting member of the Federal Open Market Committee, which makes interest rate decisions. Cook's lawyers say President Trump's actions are illegal and they'll fight the firing in court.
Fox Business's Max Gordon at the White House. This is Bloomberg reports the Senate Banking Committee will hold a hearing next week to consider White House economic advisor Stephen Myron as a Federal Reserve governor. A federal whistleblower says the Social Security data for hundreds of millions of Americans could currently be at risk.
Charles Borges, who was the chief data officer at the Social Security Administration, said the data was uploaded by officials with the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE. He warns if that data is released accidentally or criminally, Health diagnoses, income data, and other private information could be accessible. The SSA argues that sensitive data is protected in storage guarded from internet access.
Fox's Bernal Scott, House and Senate oversight leaders have been made aware of the complaint. America's listening to Fox News.
It's Will Kane Country. Watch it live at noon Eastern, Monday through Thursday at foxnews.com or on the Fox News YouTube channel. And don't miss the show. Listen and follow the podcast 5 days a week at foxnewspodcasts.com or wherever you download your favorite podcasts.
A criminal case will continue against a Wisconsin judge accused of helping an illegal immigrant evade immigration agents.
U.S. District Judge Lynn Edelman rejecting Milwaukee County Circuit Judge Hannah Dugan's motion to toss her case on federal charges for allegedly helping a Mexican national in her court on battery charges sneak out of a private door to avoid ICE agents who were there to detain him as part of the Trump administration's illegal immigration crackdown. The decision sets up a potential appeal to the 7th U.S. Circuit. Dugan was also removed from her role as judge. She's pled not guilty in the case and faces up to 6 years in prison if convicted and a $350,000 fine. Jeff Mavasso, Fox News.
A federal appeals court has ruled it's unconstitutional for the state of Pennsylvania to throw out mail-in ballots simply because the voter didn't write an accurate date on the return envelope, upholding a decision earlier this year by a federal judge in Pittsburgh. New golfers expected to tee off for the Masters at the U.S. Open next year.
The winners of 6 national tournaments from around the world will qualify to play these majors. Champs of the Australian Open, Hong Kong Open, Japan, South African, Spanish, and Scottish Opens will get the chance starting next year to win a famed green jacket and hoist the claret jug. Fred Ridley, chairman of the Masters at Augusta National, stated, "Today's announcement strengthens our organization's collective vision of rewarding top talent around the world who rise to the top of historic National Open Championships. We hope this formal recognition shines a bright light on these players and the events they will represent at the Masters and the Open. Automatic invites to the Masters will no longer get granted to the winners of 7 PGA Tour FedEx fall tournaments."
Fox's Jared Max, Taylor Swift, and Travis Kelce are engaged. The superstar couple made the announcement in a 5-photo joint post on Instagram. They've been together for 2 years. I'm Lisa Lacera. This is Fox News.
Listen to the all-new Brett Baier podcast featuring Common Ground, in-depth talks with lawmakers from opposite sides of the aisle, along with all your Brett Baier favorites like his all-star panel and much more. Available now at foxnewspodcasts.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
This Tech Check briefing is sponsored by Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
I'm Christina Partsinelis, and this is your CNBC Tech Check briefing. NVIDIA shares trading slightly higher today ahead of their highly anticipated earnings report on Wednesday. Again, NVIDIA will face high expectations as the company looks to continue to show strong growth amid questions about the staying power of AI demand. The chipmaker will also have to respond to the latest headlines out of China and the fight to keep their
Oh,
chips.
darn, I'm late. It's 3 minutes.
A $4 trillion market cap last month.
Thank you for watching. My classes, my work starts at 2. Let's go. I overlooked RR. I got lost with the time. I thought I was so early. Second floor. Open sesame. Bye. Thank you so much.